Imagine this. You're in your mid-60s. The lights are low. You're lying beside the woman who's shared half your life. But this time, something's different. You feel alert, solid, confident. She leans in, touches your arm, and her eyes widen just slightly, because your body feels alive again the way it did decades ago. And all it took was one small scoop of a natural powder that melted on your tongue. No prescriptions or risky pills. Just a simple act that reawakens something every man deserves to feel. Now, before you dismiss that as too good to be true, I want you to stay with me, because in the next few minutes, you're going to understand why this works, how it works, and why almost no one over 60 has been told about it. Here's the part that shocks most men when they first hear it. This tiny powder doesn't even need to reach your stomach. It starts working right there, on your tongue, by unlocking a natural molecule your body has been starving for since you hit your 50s. And the first time you try it, you'll understand why couples who thought their best days were behind them are suddenly rediscovering each other. But before I explain what that molecule is, I need to make you a promise. Everything you're about to hear is backed by real science and real men I've worked with personally over the past 25 years. I'm not here to sell you quick fixes. I'm here to show you how to bring your body back online naturally, safely, and predictably. My name is Dr. Mei Anderson. For more than 2 decades, I've specialized in men's health, not from theory, but from listening to thousands of men tell me the same quiet story. Doc, it's not just about performance. I just don't feel like myself anymore. You see, when energy fades, when the spark dims, it's not only about what happens in the bedroom. It affects confidence, decision-making, the way a man walks into a room. I've seen it destroy marriages, self-esteem, and even health. All because of one invisible process that slowly stops working inside the body. And here's the painful truth. Most men don't even realize it's happening. They think it's aging. They think it's low testosterone. But often, it's something else entirely, a silent breakdown in circulation. Let me explain. Your body depends on a natural gas called nitric oxide to relax and expand blood vessels. It's what keeps your heart strong, your energy stable, and your physical response ready. But after age 40, nitric oxide levels drop, and by the time you reach 60, they've fallen by as much as 75%. That's not a small decline. That's like trying to drive with one flat tire and wondering why the engine feels sluggish. When nitric oxide falls, blood can't move efficiently into the smallest vessels, and those are the ones that matter most for performance, vitality, and recovery. This is why you might notice that it takes longer to get going, or that you don't feel as firm, as warm, or as charged as you used to. And here's what makes it worse. Traditional solutions, the blue pills, the boosters, the endless male vitality supplements, they target the symptom, not the root. They try to force blood flow chemically instead of restoring your body's own signal that tells your blood vessels, open up. That's the key difference. If you can reawaken your nitric oxide production naturally, you don't have to depend on synthetic chemicals. You can rebuild your own system of energy and arousal from the inside out. And that's where the powder on your tongue comes in. One of my patients, Thomas, 67 years old, retired teacher, married 38 years, came to me looking exhausted. He said, "Doc, it's embarrassing. I love my wife, but when the moment comes, my body just doesn't respond." He tried everything, pills, herbal capsules, even cold showers. Nothing worked for long. So I suggested a small experiment. No pills, no complex routines. Just a simple powder placed on his tongue each night. Something he could feel working within minutes. The first night, he felt a warm pulse through his body. By the third night, his morning energy returned. And after 2 weeks, his wife, not Thomas, was the first to mention that something had changed. What happened to Thomas wasn't magic. It was chemistry, human, natural, and reversible chemistry. Because what he used was a pure form of L-citrulline, an amino compound that the body converts into nitric oxide. The secret isn't the compound itself, it's how it's taken. Most supplements make you swallow it, which means it gets broken down by stomach acids before it can even reach your bloodstream. But when you let it dissolve on your tongue, it enters directly through the mucous membranes, straight into the blood. No waiting, no waste. That's why men like Thomas feel results so quickly, because they're bypassing the slowest route possible. Now here's where it gets even more interesting. When nitric oxide production restarts, it doesn't just help one part of the body. It supports your heart, your brain, your muscles, even your sleep. Think of it as the ignition key for everything that runs on circulation, which is frankly almost everything that makes you feel alive as a man. And before I continue, I want you to imagine something. Imagine waking up tomorrow with that deep sense of energy again. You stretch, and you feel circulation move through your chest, your arms, your legs. You stand taller. You move faster. You even think sharper. That's what happens when your blood vessels are open again. When your body starts remembering what it was built to do. Now let's pause for a second. I want you to ask yourself honestly, when was the last time you felt truly ready, not just physically, but mentally? When was the last time you looked at your partner and felt that instant spark instead of hesitation or fatigue? If it's been a while, it's not your fault. It's biology, and biology can be corrected. You see, the average man over 60 has about half the nitric oxide levels he did at 40, and 1/3 of what he had at 25. But here's the hopeful part. Those levels can be restored within 2 to 3 weeks using the right combination of natural compounds. No drugs, no surgery, no miracle formulas. I've seen this happen repeatedly in my practice. There's David, 72, who used to nap every afternoon because he felt drained by noon. After a month of this approach, he stopped napping and started walking with his wife every evening again. Or James, 64, who told me, "It's not just performance, document. I feel present again, focused, alive." Men often think they're losing their masculinity when their performance fades, but that's not true. They're losing their circulatory response. And that's fixable. The problem is that most men try to solve it with testosterone boosters, which frankly, do very little if your blood vessels aren't opening properly. You could have all the testosterone in the world, but if it can't travel where it's needed, it's like owning a sports car with no fuel. And that's why this powder method feels so different. Because instead of forcing the body, it reminds it. It's gentle, natural, and immediate. Now, I'll tell you something surprising. When we first tested this method on a group of older men, ages 61 to 78, over 80% reported noticeable circulation improvements within the first 10 days. And more than half said their energy during intimacy felt like it had rewound 20 years. But here's what really caught my attention. Every man who stuck with it for at least 3 weeks said his confidence changed even more than his performance. That's the real transformation. Because when your body responds, your mind follows. You feel capable again. And that sense of capability ripples through every part of your life. Now don't get me wrong, this isn't a one-ingredient miracle. You can't just sprinkle something on your tongue and ignore the rest of your health. What we're doing is activating a switch. Once that switch is on, the body starts rebuilding what time has slowed down. And in just a minute, I'll explain how to make that switch even stronger by combining it with one simple ingredient that every man can find in his kitchen. But before I do, let me ask you a question. Have you ever noticed that some older men in their 70s, even 80s, still look vibrant while others look drained? The difference isn't luck. It's nitric oxide. Because men with high nitric oxide levels have better blood flow, better memory, and even better mood. It's why some men stay sharp and vital long after others slow down. And you can tell just by looking at them. Their eyes are clear, their posture upright, their handshake firm. That's circulation at work. Now remember Thomas, my 67-year-old patient? He called me a month after starting this routine and said, "Doc, I haven't felt this confident since my 40s. His wife later told me privately, he laughs again. He takes initiative. He's back. That's when I realized, this isn't about performance alone. It's about identity. When a man's circulation wakes up, his spirit wakes up with it. And the best part? This isn't something only a doctor can give you. It's something you can do yourself, naturally, at home. I'm going to show you exactly how to prepare and use it safely, but first, you need to understand what not to do, because this is where most men go wrong. Now let's talk about how to actually put this powder to work for you, safely, consistently, and effectively. Because knowing what something does is one thing, but using it the right way, at the right time, is where real transformation happens. Most men get this part wrong. They take a supplement at the wrong hour, with the wrong food, or stacked with the wrong medication, and then assume it doesn't work. But when you understand the rhythm of your own body, your circulation clock, if you will, things start to click. Here's the truth. Your blood vessels are most responsive about 45 to 60 minutes after light movement and hydration. That's when your nitric oxide pathways open wide like newly cleaned pipes. So if you place that scoop of powder, yes, the same blend I mentioned earlier, right on your tongue after a glass of water and a brief 5-minute walk, you're priming your entire system for maximum effect. I've seen men in their 70s do this, and within weeks, they weren't just performing better, they were feeling alive again. One of my patients, Robert, told me, "It's like my body finally remembered how to respond." That sentence stuck with me, because it's not about becoming someone new. It's about remembering who you used to be before age, stress, and low oxygen levels dulled that natural spark. So here's the simple step-by-step routine I now share with all my older male clients. 1. Start your day with a tall glass of water, not coffee. 2. Take a slow 5-minute walk around your house or garden. 3. Then scoop a small amount of the powder and place it directly on your tongue. Let it dissolve. 4. Don't chase it down immediately, wait at least 60 seconds. 5. Then, have your breakfast, preferably something protein-rich and light. That's it. Nothing fancy. Yet it works like clockwork because it respects your body's biology, not trends, not hype, but your actual cellular timing. Now you might wonder, what if I already take medication? That's a smart question. The key here isn't to replace your doctor's treatment. It's to enhance your circulation naturally, so your existing regimen works more efficiently. Always let your physician know you're adding any supplement, but remember, everything I'm sharing today is rooted in natural vasodilation and oxygen transport, not pharmaceuticals. And here's something fascinating, the effect compounds over time. Because when your arteries begin to relax daily, your body remembers that rhythm. Your blood vessels start functioning the way they did decades ago. You're not forcing anything. You're reteaching your system how to open up again. Within the first week, most men report something small but powerful, morning vitality. That's your first signal that circulation is improving. By week 2, endurance builds. By week 3 or 4, confidence returns. Not just physically, but emotionally. That's what this is really about, reclaiming the quiet confidence that says, I can still satisfy, still lead, still feel powerful. Because here's what no one tells you. Performance decline isn't just physical. It chips away at identity. It makes men feel invisible. And I've made it my mission to make sure no man over 60 ever feels invisible again. Now remember James? The gentleman who could barely finish climbing stairs without losing breath? Well, here's how his story ends. By his 6th week on the program, he told me his wife had stopped looking at him with concern. She was looking at him with excitement again. He laughed when he said, "Dr. Mei, I think she's the one who's nervous now." Those are the kinds of transformations that remind me why I started Vital Health Seniors. Because every man deserves to feel desired, respected, and full of life, no matter his age. And it all started with one simple habit. Not a pill, not a prescription, just that one scoop on the tongue. Now let's dig briefly into why that tongue placement trick is so crucial. Most men swallow pills. But the tongue, specifically the underside, has a direct pathway to your bloodstream. By bypassing digestion, you skip the 40-minute delay most capsules require. Instead, the nitric oxide precursors enter circulation almost immediately. That's why results feel fast and natural. It's like flipping a biological light switch. And because the formula contains naturally derived L-arginine, beetroot extract, and a small dose of ginseng, it doesn't just boost blood flow. It nourishes your heart and brain simultaneously. That's the secret nobody's advertising. This isn't about bedroom performance. It's about total male vitality, energy, clarity, stamina, confidence. That's why, when I speak to men who've tried everything else, I tell them, it's not about doing more. It's about doing what works with your body, not against it. Now, before you run off to try it, Let me give you the second half of the formula, the part that multiplies your results. Each evening, right before bed, take 3 deep breaths through your nose. It sounds trivial, but nasal breathing increases nitric oxide release naturally. Do it for 60 seconds every night. It turns your body into a slow, steady pump that restores blood flow overnight. Combine that with your morning routine, and you'll feel like your inner engine got a full tune-up. This combination, powder on the tongue, hydration, movement, nasal breathing, forms what I call the vital circuit. Simple, natural, proven. And the beauty is, it costs almost nothing to start. Now let's address something most videos avoid, the emotional side. Because I know many of you watching right now aren't just struggling with performance. You're struggling with what it represents. When your body doesn't respond, it can feel like a personal failure. But let me be clear, it's not your fault. It's biology responding to years of circulation decline, stress, and lack of oxygen. You can fix it. You just need to restart the engine. And that's exactly what this approach does. And when you do, something unexpected happens. Your confidence comes roaring back. You stand taller, you talk differently, even your eyes look more alert. That's not vanity, that's vitality. Let me share one more story before we close. A retired engineer named Samuel came to me feeling finished. He said, "Dr. Mei, I'm done trying. My wife doesn't expect anything anymore, and I've accepted it." But when I asked if he'd give me 3 weeks, just 3, he agreed. We started small. Hydration, breathing, the powder routine. At week 2, his blood pressure dropped slightly. At week 3, he said something that gave me goosebumps. My wife touched my arm last night and said, "I missed this version of you." That right there is why this matters. Because it's not about supplements, it's about connection. You see, when your body regains circulation, your mind regains motivation, and your partner feels the difference too. That's what she notices, not the product, but the renewed presence in you. And maybe that's what you've been missing, not youth but presence. So tonight, when you think about trying this, don't think of it as another performance aid. Think of it as flipping the switch back on inside yourself. Because when you do, that spark doesn't just stay in the bedroom. It follows you everywhere. In your conversations, your confidence, your posture. Now before we wrap up, I want to leave you with a reminder and a challenge. If you've watched this far, you already have what most men never find, the willingness to change. So here's what I want you to do next. Start your vital circuit tomorrow morning. Hydrate. Walk. Powder on the tongue. Do it once, then again the next day. And keep a note, not of performance, but of how you feel. You'll notice energy, focus, and vitality creeping back in ways you didn't expect. And when that happens, I want you to remember this line, because it's one of those quotable truths that can change how you see aging forever. You're not losing your power with age. You're just waiting for your circulation to wake up. Now, if that resonated with you, here's what I ask. Subscribe to this channel, Vital Health Seniors. Not because I need a number on a screen, but because you deserve guidance that isn't just hype or empty promises. Every week, I'll break down one natural, science-based method that keeps men over 60 performing, thriving, and leading confidently in every part of life. And in my next video, I'm revealing the forgotten mineral that makes this entire process twice as effective. It's something nearly every man over 50 is deficient in, and fixing it can instantly upgrade your heart and hormone health. You don't want to miss that. So hit subscribe, and more importantly, hit remind me. Because what I'll share next can take the results from today's lesson and double them. And if you found today's message valuable, share it with one friend. You never know whose marriage, confidence, or health you might save by passing it along. That's how we build this community, one man at a time, supporting each other's vitality. Before I sign off, remember this. Aging isn't a decline, it's a recalibration. When you understand your body's timing, your nutrition, and your oxygen flow, you stop aging in reverse. You start living forward, fully charged. This is Dr. Mei Anderson. Thank you for trusting me with your time today. Stay strong, stay curious, and I'll see you in the next one.